So Blackburn Rovers looking to make it a fantastic week this week, of course, by making it 3 wins out of 3. Standing in the way, though, is Rotherham United at the New York Stadium. We're going to take a look at that and much more next. Preview. Look forward to Blackburn Rovers taking on Rotherham down the New York Stadium, of course, and we'll get to that in a second. Of course, if you're new, where you've been, smash your subscribe button, bounty, all things Rovers related, Championship related, world football related. We're all here, boys. Under one Rooski. That's right, both cup successes this week for Rotherham and Rovers to give both sides a bit of a bounce heading into this crunch clash early in the championship season. But who will come out on top? We'll take a little look in a second. Of course, big shout out to my VIPs. You know who you are. They are, of course, the Patreons. That's right. So anyway, let's get into it. Of course, break down the name and the noms for this one. It is, of course, Rotherham United hosting Rovers at the New York Stadium, of course, this coming Saturday. Matt Taylor, the governor these days, of course, been at the club since October 2022, of course, after Paul Warne left to go to Derby, which I always thought was a strange move for Paul Warne. But, of course, his record against Rovers is pretty good. It's exactly the same as his record against JDT. He's won one and he's lost one, of course, and most recently there was that stinging win there, of course, he had. So the key man, the most valuable man by a distance, in my eyes, is the goalkeeper Victor Johannesson, who of course is a Swede between the sticks. We also may have a Swede between our sticks, but of course I don't think it will happen this coming match. Of course, with a value around about 3 million. They have 27 players on the books right now, 10 foreigners, 3 international players, and 26.5 is the average age per player. Let's take a look at them of players. Of course, Johannesson between the sticks for the league. Dylan Phillips had a successful day in the cup with a penalty shootout. I believe, was it Morecambe or Acton Stanley? Correct me if we'll have a look in a minute. Of course, moving forward into the defensive ranks, they've got the likes of Taylor Blackett, Sean Morrison, of course, Grant Hall, some familiar names to us from the Championship. Into midfield, of course, you've got the likes of Oliver Rathbone. I do like a bit of Oliver Rathbone. Shane Ferguson as well. We got Fredo Onyema coming in from Luton, and Cafu's on the books, but of course he got himself a red card last week, so he won't be involved, of course. But Jordan Hogan up top can score goals. Tom Eves can be a handful as well. And Andre Green, a new addition to the Millers, of course. This is how they've played out so far. Just the one goal by Lee Peltier in the league. And that was, of course, was assisted by Cameron Humphreys as they've joined up to get them up and running with at least a goal. Unfortunately, didn't result in a win. The main standout for me was Lee Peltier, of course, with Ben Willis, Jamie McCart in the top 3, all getting above 7 on an average rating for the performances so far this season. It is early. Of course, those numbers will change. Of course, it will get better and maybe even worse in your department. Of course, look at the stats then. Of course, just they played the once, scored 1, but they have conceded 4 with Johannesson between the sticks. And of course, with Phillips doing so well in the cup, there might be a discussion to be had for that department. Of course, just a couple of corners in that first game. They had 6 shots in that game. And of course, only had the possession, though, 29% of the time against Stoke. I think it was Stoke. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, I think we'll finalise all the ins and outs in a second. And again, they did have a red card, of course. This is the transfer business for Rotherham thus far. Andre Green coming in from Slovan Bratislava, the former Villawan, will of course try to light it up at the New York Stadium on the wing. Fred Onyema is also a tiny little player as well. A couple of other loanees as well. Lembeska Dexter, or Dexter Lemexter, coming in as well. Dylan Phillips, of course, the free agent. Grant Hall as well. Some familiar names that we know. They also lost a few players as well. Ogbeni has gone to Luton, wasn't the most creative player. Peter Koso as well. Connor Washington has gone to Derby following Paul Moore, and Tariq Fonsu has gone back to Brentford. But this is how I expect them to line up. And of course, there are some question marks in this team. Johansson, no, maybe he gets the start. Blackett, Morrison, and Humphreys Grant at the back. We have got Brown on the left. We've got Odonyem on the right. Rathbone, Peltier midfield, maybe. Then, of course, we've got Green, Willis, and Heugel up top. Now, there are some threats here. A lot of people will tip us to get a result here, but I don't know. It's a trickier one, of course, when you look at the recent result against them with the heavy defeat against Rotherham still ringing out in our ears. We, of course, would like to rectify that score line, but we'll see. So, yes, they opened up with that 4-1 drubbing by Stoke, bounced back with a draw against Morecambe in the Cup. only to win 4-2 on penalties. After this game, they'll take on Sunderland. That's, of course, on the 19th at the Stadium. Then, of course, it's Leicester and then Norwich City before the international break. Following on from that, they got Huddersfield Town and then Millwall to complete the five-piece. Standing in the way, there, of course, is Rovers today, of course, managed by JDT, who's got a points per match success rate of 1.65. Of course, again, the record against Rotherham is 50-50. 1-1 lost one. Of course, Tyrese Dolan, the most valuable player as well. We've seen our quota or our roster go down one player since the last time you saw me. We're down to 30 players. It was 31. 8 foreign players, 22.8 as the average player, and just one recognised international, of course. According to this is the roster right here. We've got Wallstadt now confirmed as a goalkeeper. Of course, Ainsley Pears will be number one for the start of the season anyway. Joe Hilton did debutise in the Cup. And of course, Jordan Eastman looking over the shoulder as the fourth placed keeper into the defence. Standouts, of course, you got Hayden Carter, Dom Hyman as well. Scotty Wharton had some minutes, as did Callum Britton in the Cup. Jake Batty and Garrett, who's been quoted here as a defender, which is a little bit strange, also got himself his first goal, as did Zach Gilson. Oh, Gilsonen. I apologise. I should be able to pronounce it. It's not that difficult. He also got himself his first goal. Also did Niall Ennis as well in the Cup. I don't think they'll feature in this match as in starting. I think they'll be in and amongst the team. Of course, you'd likely see Niall Ennis getting 10 or 15 minutes if we're lucky. But I do expect it to be the same old, same old. Harry Leonard's that good. He's that good. He's up there bloody twice. That's right. He's electric. He's fantastic. He's got 2 different shirt numbers. He's that good. He has 2 different shirt numbers. In fact, he's that good. We're cloning the son of a bitch. So we got Harry Leonard and we got Harold Leonard, and they're both as good as each other. So, of course, let's take a little look at the stats, of course, for the season. Again, just Championship, not taking into account the big win or the 7-goal thriller against Walsall. But, of course, Dylan McAday and Harry Leonard got themselves goals last time around. I'd love to see them do a bit more of that this time around. Of course, Travis Smodic with the assists. Hedges did get himself a couple of assists in the Cup, so he is knocking on the door for a start here. Travis, I thought, was phenomenal in the midfield as well. Smodic, Dolan, and of course the rest of the chasing pack. A good start to the campaign for Rovers. Of course, as you can see here, 2 goals scored, 1 conceded. What are we looking at here? Corners. We had 6 corners. Again, we're not very good at those, but we'll see if we can get a little bit better at them as the season develops. Aerial duels won, 9 of them, 29% of them. We won 56% of the duels, 56 duels, that's around about 50 from the first game against West Brom. Of course, the transfer business. Some good news and bad news in amongst all this. Of course, Kaminski's gone. Yes, on paper, initially that does look like a big loss, but we made a bit of money. We did get, I think, probably, well, we definitely got a younger goalkeeper, a goalkeeper of equal quality, I feel. So, yes, initially a loss. And again, remember, Kaminski was second choice at the back end of the season. Pears had ousted him as number 1 in JDT's eyes, but now we have a new battle on the scene between Kaminski and between Pears and Wildstadt. Taylor Dunn's gone to Charlton, of course. James Brown to Ross County. Roberto Diaz to Villarreal. Of course, Ashley Phillips is the stinger, though, of course, losing him for just 2 million. Hopefully there is a bunch of add-ons which could make the cash register ring a little bit later on in his career. Of course, and Dak, who's gone to Sunderland Business. Those coming in: Wallstadt, Ennis, Sigurdsson, Tronstadt. We've seen 2 play the 4. Wallstadt, Sigurdsson. Of course, Sigurdsson's injured for a little bit, so he won't be involved until at least September. Wallstadt, of course, you could argue he could start, but I think Pears will comfortably start as well. Talking of the roster so far, this is the games: 2-1 win over West Brom, followed up by a 4-3 win over Walsall in a very, very much young, different kind of team. But of course, heading out of this game, we'll take on Hull next weekend at Ewood. Then, of course, it's Watford at Vicarage Road, tricky game there, and then it's Plymouth before we wrap up for the international break. Then, of course, back-to-back home games against the North East. It's Borough and it's Sunderland. Tricky home and away. A double header right there, you would say. This is my lineup. Then, of course, not much change from the first team. We got Pears, we got Pickering, we got Hyam, Carter, Rankin, Costello, Tronstadt, Travis, Smodic, Dolan, McAday, and Leonard. They won against a tricky West Bromwich Albion side. I think they deserve another go. So that's for me. And again, just use the guys that did well on in the cup on the bench. Quick look at the teams then and the values. Of course, 17.35 million euros is Rotherham, with Rovers quoted around about 52.5 million. Of course, with the average age of 24.2 compared to the 27 of Rotherham. Again, similar numbers in the foreign and national team department. Of course, on the top of the bottom there, the graphic shows the recent form. Of course, Rovers just losing one game in a bunch there, so a few wins and a few draws as well. Quickly at the recent run of events between these two sides. Of course, the last 6, both home and away, it's been 1-2, lost 2 and drawn 2. Of course, that 4-0 win still ringing in our ears. Dolphin, Rathbone, Ferguson and Washington, 3 of the 4 still on the books at Rotherham. 3 of the 4 would fancy the chances as well. Last time we played each other at Ewood, there was a 3-0 win as well. So goals in this. There has always been goals in the last 6. However, the last 6 at the New York Stadium is not great reading for Rovers. Last time we picked up a win was way back in 2016. It was in the Cup, or the Championship, sorry, in the Championship. It was a 1-0 win. And Shane Duffy, of all people, scoring the goal. So it's a long time overdue. Can we get it this time around? Can we have a new hero? Of course, look at the goal scorers, Dak. Armstrong, no longer here. All right then, folks, of course, take a little look at it in a bit more detail then, blowing up to the last 15 games since 2002. Rovers have won 8 of them. Of course, Rotherham picking up 3 wins. There have been 4 draws, of course. And Rotherham's form heading into this, including pre-season, is 67% success rate. So Rovers are on 75% success rate, and their biggest win is equal to that of Rotherham, which, of course, was a 4-0 win. In fact, we scored 25 goals compared to their 17 goals, which works out around about 1.67 goals game ratio compared to the 1.13 goals game ratio for Rotherham. If you have a look at the bookies then, 90 to 10 is your Rotherham, 7 to 5 is your Rovers. Quite even, it's pretty steady-ish on the bookies, but I think Rovers are nicking it. And again, we haven't lost none of the last 9 away matches. Of course, look at what else is going on in the Championship this coming weekend. We've got all kicking off at Coventry against Middlesbrough on August the 12th. That's early doors on that one. And then, of course, the whole host of 3 o'clock kickoffs. Hull against Sheffield Wednesday, Huddersfield against Leicester. We have Southampton against Norwich, West Brom, Swansea, Watford, Plymouth, Preston, Sunderland, Ipswich, Stoke, Cardiff against QPR. We've also got, of course, Birmingham against Leeds and Millwall against Bristol City. That's right. Of course, and this is the current state of play in the Championship. As you see, Watford are running away with it with their goal difference. Stoke up there as well. Plymouth, Ipswich, Southampton and Rovers going down, though, as QPR, Rotherham and Huddersfield, but it is early bloody days, of course, but it's never too early for a prediction on this one. I think Rovers looked good in spurts. There was still nervousness when we took on West Brom at Ewood Park. Rotherham, of course, with that spanking, will look to bounce back and with in quick time. So it does smell like this could be a draw, especially when you look at the form book and our recent run of results against Rotherham, especially at the New York Stadium. So it does smell like they will want to bounce back, and of course they kind of responded a little bit in the Cup. But Rovers come into this tails up a little bit. A lot of young guns trying to make their name for themselves here. Leonard, Mac and Dave, and the young kids in the EFL Cup. So I do think Rovers are going to edge this one. It's not going to be crazy. You're going to go with a 2-1 win for Rovers on the road, 3 points in the can, and maybe 3 wins out of 3 in all competitions. That's what I think, of course. Let me know your thoughts, of course. Get your predictions in down. But if you want to have a go predicting the outcome of this game, I'll do some shout outs next time around to see if you got it right. Of course, in the review. So make sure you check that out as well. But until then, guys and girls, subscribe, thumbs up, hit the little bell. Of course, also check out my Rovers Roundup video, which of course looks at the under-21s. It looks at the ladies. It looks at any loan players that have gone out. That's of course a weekly diagnosis of everything outside the senior team. So check all that out. But until then, guys, subscribe, thumbs up, hit the bell. Of course, I'll see you soon for the next one.